Hi, and welcome to our section on internal onboarding. In these lessons, we'll talk about the importance of collaborating as a team whenever the agency signs a new client. Many agencies tend to assign one or two specialists to each account without involving the rest of the team, but we'll explain why it's better to have all hands on deck, at least at the beginning of a new engagement. Client onboarding isn't just an external process between the SEO specialist and the client. It's also an internal process that should involve every SEO at your agency. In this lesson, we'll discuss what that internal process should look like and how you can add value to the onboarding phase by harnessing the power of the group. What happens currently when your agency acquires a new client? Presumably, the deal gets closed with your sales department, and then the client is passed along to the SEO team. So what's next? Do you have someone in charge of assigning clients to specialists based on workload and fit? Does each client get one SEO specialist and/or one account manager? Does anyone else on the SEO team get an introduction to the new client before the work is started? In other words, what does your internal onboarding process look like? The difference between external and internal onboarding is that the external onboarding process directly involves the client, while the internal process takes place within the agency. External onboarding includes items like sending a welcome email, holding one or more kickoff meetings, and sending, receiving, and discussing the new client questionnaire. Internal onboarding prepares the agency itself and the SEO team to serve the new client as effectively as they can. If you don't currently have much of an internal onboarding process, here's what you might be missing. Items like setting up the new client in the CRM and project management software, meeting with the full team to introduce the new client and brainstorm ideas, and looping in developers, graphic designers, and any other agency folks who might need to contribute to the SEO project. Onboarding isn't only for the client's benefit, it's for the whole team's benefit as well. By incorporating an element of teamwork into each new client project, you can generate better ideas through brainstorming and allow for alternate team members to step in when the primary specialist gets sick, goes on vacation, or just feels overwhelmed. We've talked about setting up each new client within your CRM and/or project management software in another lesson. Getting that done is pretty self-explanatory, but you do want to make sure your whole team has access to the client's entries so that anyone can access information and files related to the client whenever they need to. Let's focus our attention on this second item, meeting with the SEO team to introduce and brainstorm about the new client you've just signed. For the client in need of SEO services, one of the major advantages to hiring an agency is that they benefit from a diverse and varied set of skills and a broader range of experiences. You take that advantage away from the client if you only allow one or two individuals to contribute to each project. Plus, even the most creative individual in the world would be hard-pressed to match the wealth of ideas and perspectives that can come from collaboration and brainstorming. So why should a single SEO specialist be responsible for generating all of the ideas and strategy for a new client? Internal onboarding should really be a matter of team onboarding. When a new client is signed, schedule a meeting with the entire SEO team to acquaint them with the brand and welcome input on SEO strategy. Before the meeting, assign the team a few materials to look over, like an initial site audit, the client's branding guide, sales contract, and anything else that might have been uploaded to your CRM or project management platform, and make sure everyone has access. You might also ask the team to read over a couple of marketing elements from the client's site to get a sense of the brand's voice, or take a practice run through their checkout process to help identify any glaring site problems. Or if it's a client that you know is going to require some specialized technical SEO work that not everyone has done before, you might send links to best practices articles related to that part of the strategy. Also in that meeting, share the LinkedIn profiles of the key players connected to the client organization, including any external partners you'll work with, like PR agencies, and company executives, marketing managers, developers, or anyone else at the client organization who you'll be in frequent contact with. The client doesn't need to receive 25 LinkedIn connection requests from every person at your agency, but you can at least show each person's profile during the meeting and explain their connection to the brand. Finally, it's time for brainstorming. What did the team notice during their exploration of the client's site or perusal of the sales notes that needs to be fixed long-term? Are there ideas for easy wins or low-hanging fruit so you can start delivering value to the client right away? Even if only one or two people will be primarily responsible for each client throughout the life of the engagement, this kind of early collaboration helps to start things off on the right foot. Getting buy-in from the full team encourages a sense of shared investment in each client, which is important since your clients are your agency's livelihood. This extends to the rest of the agency staff as well. If there are other teams like developers, graphic designers, paid search, or social media marketing who may need to contribute to this client project at some point, this is the perfect time to loop them in. They might be invited to your initial full SEO team meeting as well, or you might hold smaller scale catch-ups with these contributors. Say, for example, you know that a particular client is going to require a lot of back-end development work because they're migrating their website to a new platform. If you have developers on staff and the client is relying on your agency to perform some of that work, then your dev team needs to know the parameters of the project and the client's major stakeholders as early as possible. Remember that SEO works best when it's treated like a top-of-mind concern by everyone involved in the creation or maintenance of a website. You can avoid quite a lot of pain and frustration both internally and between you and the client by getting your full team aligned on your objectives from day one. That's it for this lesson on internal onboarding as a vital part of your overall client onboarding processes. Remember, if this sounds like more than your agency currently has time for, especially if you're experiencing an uncomfortable amount of client churn or dissatisfaction, you may want to reevaluate how many clients you're willing to take on at a time. Devoting the time each client deserves to their onboarding will result in more valuable clients overall and less scrambling to replace the ones you've lost. Thanks for watching, and join me next time.